remote Scottish loch is thought by police to have starved herself to death. The astonishing thing about this tragedy, though, is that she seems to have starved herself deliberately. She belonged to a cult, or so-called cult, which practices Breatharianism, the belief that you don't need food or water necessarily, but can live literally on air. This is the kitchen of a breatharian. For 63 days, this woman has, she claims, gone without any food whatsoever, apart from fish stock tea with a dash of cider vinegar. She believes it would help her to live longer, more healthily, and with greater mental alertness.
I am nourished by prana, as old Eastern religion did believe that there is a prana in the air, or chi energy or something like that. I know that I am nourished, and I am nourished probably very, very well, much better than I was nourishing myself.
Despite that name, the Breatharians, the inventor and espouser of this non-food lifestyle, the self-styled Jasmuheen, does sanction a certain amount of refueling. A sip of calorie-free water is allowed. You can have as much herb tea as you want. The occasional half cup of orange juice can be drunk. And she has half a chocolate biscuit from time to time. Indeed, once the prescribed training period is over, you can eat what you like, the point being that you won't want to. Some scientists have lent a certain amount of credence to the notion that eating very little can be good for you. Starving lab mice and monkeys to the equivalent of a human 800 calories a day has been shown in certain cases to extend life and increase alertness. But that is a very far cry from eating nothing at all.
The human body is totally dependent on food for everything it does. In the same way that a car needs petrol, a body needs food, and nobody can do without that. Anyone who tells you that they can survive for long periods of time with no food is either kidding themselves, i.e. they are actually eating small quantities of food, enough to keep them going, or they're not telling the truth, they're telling you lies.
Self-deprivation and even self-mutilation has played a part in just about every religion. The pilgrimages of Indian sadhus are often characterized by making the journeys in a variety of painful, impractical ways, like rolling across India. And in the quest for spiritual purity, deliberate self-mutilation has always been highly valued in some communities. In Iran, Islamic demonstrations of loyalty to Khomeini were often made through self-flagellation. Closer to home, Catholic monks have for centuries taken vows of abstinence and silence. And most famously, firewalkers have for centuries been showing that what you think may be incredibly bad for you can in fact have a strong spiritual value.
It's actually the whole notion of pleasure and actually enjoying the physical body which is considered bad. It's not just the intake of food, it's sexuality as well, and any other sort of material pleasure. Because what they're really trying to do is to get themselves to a stage when they can really be at a higher spiritual level and not have to depend on physical environment.
Some of the more culturally alien types of behavior may be gradually gaining respectability in Britain as perhaps not exactly sensible, but at least pretty harmless and well-meaning. But when the practical implications of some other philosophies can be permanent disablement or even death, then can those who claim great benefit for their unique ways of life explain away the harm laid at their door? Well, we're joined now from Brisbane by Jasmuheen, who is the author of Living on Light. And how long did you go without eating?
I've been experimenting with this for about 6 years, but I prepared for this journey for well over 20 years. I'd been a meditator for a long period of time, a number of decades. I've been practicing vegetarianism, vegan, raw food, things like that as well. So it's a long journey. It's not an overnight journey, and we like to stress that if people at home do this without this level of preparation, they could experience a lot of problems.
Specifically, how long did you go without eating?
For me, on and off, well, pretty well just on water and tea for 2 years.
And did you lose weight?
No, because I treat the body as a biocomputer, the mind as a software program, and you can reprogram the body if you have a strong mind-body connection so that the body's weight will stabilize. Now, this assumes that you are being nourished. The woman you just had speaking about this said that we do need food, and that's 100% correct. A body does need food to survive. But that food can come in the form of prana or ki energy. And what I'd like to share with your view...
I beg your pardon?
What I'd like to share with...
Go on.
What I'd like to share with your readers, your viewers, is that there's so much scientific experimentation being done on this already, like scientific Qigong exploration, which has been put together by one of the heads of the Chinese scientific community, a Professor Lu Xingyun, and he talks about the state of bijou that people go into where they're living normal lives and they're not eating.
Okay,
very rare.
Sure.
Really drinking as well.
Where are they getting their sustenance from if they're not getting it from food?
Ki, the chi, the universal life force, or what we call prana, or if you're a religious person, you would say you are fed by the light of God, and obviously that's very hard to measure.
This is nonsense.
But with ki, it's not hard to measure.
This is just...
It's not nonsense when you do the
if you don't eat, you die.
But that's most people's belief systems in the Western world, and that's why these studies are so powerful and important now. See, every second a child dies of hunger-related diseases.
Yes, look.
And I've found in my research that you can apply the lifestyles that we are living as ambassadors of light to take care of a lot of world health and world hunger-related problems.
I don't mean to belittle your beliefs, and I'm sure they're sincerely held, but there is a woman who is dead in Scotland as a consequence of following your principles.
Yes, we don't really know what happened in that situation.
Well, we know that the diary she left behind...
I think we need to leave.
Well, we don't need to leave it, because we know that the diary that she left behind that was found with her body makes extensive references to your book and your ideas. She starved herself to death.
Well, also, too, who controls the time of birth and who controls the time of death? There are people with very strong connections with the divine who feel that that is a contract between you and the divine. I think it's very important that people are well prepared, because I hate the fact that there are people who could possibly do damage to themselves from following these type of practices. But we'd like to stress that we are not a cult. This is simply a sharing of information that will allow people to take greater control over their health, their happiness, their vitality, if it is practiced and well prepared for properly.
How many other people have died as a consequence of following this belief system?
There was a woman in Australia who went into a coma and was taken off life support systems later when she was going through the 21-day process with a man called Jim Pesnak, and he's awaiting trial at this point. The concern is not that she couldn't live on light from what the police have been investigating, because they've found enough information now through other fields of research with the yogis to say this is possible. Their concern was he negligent in calling the police before, the ambulance beforehand.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Don't try this at home, as they say. The Times is revealing evidence of massacres in East Timor.